for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in pathology, naturopathic doctor. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician.
Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Ruth Ellen Sanchez, and let's go ahead and open up that Zoom room door and let people in. I am going to be your host today. I'm filling in for Rebecca Dukes while she's out traveling. So big shout out to Rebecca Dukes. Hope you're having a great day. Today we have a really good show with Sheri Browning, and she is going to talk about the living table and rediscovering, fermented foods and the way that people used to preserve their foods. Anyway, I need to say this for legal reasons. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to treat, diagnose, or cure any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results may vary and are not typical. We do not make any claims regarding health, income, or anything else. As an empowered individual, you have options. So I am going to go ahead and bring Sheri up on the screen with me, and we are going to just get started. And Sheri, when you get here, I would love to hear a little bit about you.
All right. Well, I'm Sheri, as you heard. I've been with you guys for a couple of years now. What, 3, 4, maybe? I can't remember. It's been a while.
Great.
But I am a certified health coach like the rest of our team members are. I'm a mom, a wife. We had 8 children, have 8 children. They're still here. And kind of traveled the world. But my love is really health and well-being. I'm one of the oldest in my group that I hang around with, and I can keep up with everyone. And I can say it's because of longevity, because that made a major change in my life. I've been a health coach since 2015, working with people, but it wasn't until we introduced longevity products to these people that it made a major change in their life and mine as well. And they still love it. These clients that I've had for a long time are still clients, and they love the change that has taken place since they started taking longevity and living, eliminating the bad foods that Doc Wallach talks so much about.
Thank you, Sheri.
You're
I know
welcome.
helping people is your passion, and you've been an educator. You're an herbal teacher. You teach how to make tinctures and different things like that.
Right. I taught health community classes for about 12 years and ran workshops on how to make fermented food, kombucha, any kind of fermented food. I taught weight loss classes, just a little bit of everything. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. I wish I could lift closer. I would attend any class that you have in the future. So that would be great.
Well, thank you.
All right. I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can,
Okay.
I can't wait to hear what you have to share. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you. Well, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy that you've joined us because we have a lot to learn about today. If you haven't had the opportunity to enjoy fermented food, or maybe you have and you don't know it, I want you to think back on what you had to eat or drink today. Maybe a cup of coffee, maybe some yogurt, or even a piece of dark chocolate. You may not realize it, but you've already experienced fermentation because those foods are fermented. Most people hear the word ferment and they just picture a sour pickle. Well, that's way beyond that. At its core, fermentation is beautifully simple. It's when friendly microbes like bacteria and yeast get together, breaking down sugars and starches. As they do that, they create natural acids that help preserve the food. And more importantly, they transform it into something new. In a way, I guess you could say it's where life creates even more life. It's beautiful. Long before we had electricity, refrigerators, or chemical preservatives, we had microbes. We've always had microbes. And for our ancestors, fermentation wasn't a trend, it was a necessity. It was the only way to make sure the summer harvest could feed a family through a long, cold winter when fresh food was scarce. And what's really amazing is that every culture around the world developed its own version of this. In China, as far back as 7000 BCE, and that is a long time ago, people were fermenting rice and honey into drinks. In Eastern Europe, nomadic tribes discovered that milk carried in leather bags would naturally ferment into kefir, a drink they valued so highly they called it a gift from the gods. And I agree with them. In Korea, kimchi was so important that families would bury jars underneath the ground to keep them at just the right temperature throughout the winter. And in places like the Philippines and Japan, fermenting fish and soybeans provided essential protein and salt that helped people stay nourished and strong. But then, unfortunately, around the middle of the 1900s, we moved toward canned and pasteurized foods. We started caring more about how long a food could sit on a shelf than what you might call the food's life force. We traded complex fermented flavors for the consistency of vinegar and sugar. Today, we're finally realizing just how much we lost in that trade. And I think most of you, after hearing what we are going to learn today, would agree with that. And if you haven't enjoyed fermented foods, I hope today will inspire you to want to do that. So why should we bother eating fermented food? Because fermentation does something no other cooking method can. It often makes food better for you than it was when it was fresh. You know, it actually increases the nutritional value of the food. The raw food is here, it can go up as much as 300% or more in nutritional value when you ferment it. These microbes act like a tiny kitchen crew that starts breaking down your food before you even eat it. They take care of the tough to digest components. For example, they consume lactose in milk to create yogurt, which is why many people who struggle with dairy can tolerate yogurt or kefir. Second, fermentation turns food into a kind of nutrient factory. These microbes are hard workers. They actually create nutrients like B vitamins for energy and vitamin K2, which is vital for your heart and bones, but not easy to find, unfortunately, in our modern diet. And then there's the gut-brain connection. We now understand that around 70 to 80% of our immune system lives in our gut. I like to think of our gut as a garden. So let's just picture it as a garden. When we eat fermented foods, we give it prebiotics and probiotics. Now, the probiotics are the beneficial bacteria. They're like a seed or new workers you're introducing to the gut. Prebiotics are the fertilizer, feeding and strengthening the microbes that are already there. Even more amazing, your gut and brain are always talking. About 90% of your serotonin, you know, that feel good chemical that your body produces, is created, actually made in your gut. So a happy gut usually means a happy mind. It's very important. Now, how do you get started? The beauty of fermentation is that it meets you wherever you are. You can either Become the chef in your own invisible kitchen, or you can let the experts do it for you. If you're a DIY person like I am, making your own ferments is incredibly rewarding and very inexpensive. The price of a head of cabbage, the price of a head of cabbage and some salt with that, you can make enough sauerkraut for a month, just one head of cabbage. There's something special about tending to your own inner garden, starting at the kitchen counter. You control the ingredients, the salt level, and how tangy you want it to be. And it turns your kitchen back into that place of a slow, traditional crafting kitchen, like our ancestors used to do. They used to make everything. But there is convenience in buying it too. If your schedule's packed, or if you're just not ready to have jars bubbling on your counter yet, buying living foods is a fantastic option. So what do you look for? We don't need to be a scientist, but you do need to be a detective. Avoid the room temperature shelves. To get the health benefits, head straight to the refrigerator section in your grocery store or health food store. Check the label. Look for the words raw, unpasteurized, or contains live and active cultures. If the ingredient list is just cucumbers, water, vinegar, it's a pickle. If the label says it's cucumbers, water, salt, and it's in the fridge, it's a ferment. There is a big difference. Now, there are some trusted brands that I like to get if I don't have the time to ferment or if I'm traveling. There are some trusted brands. There are wonderful companies out there doing the work for you, like Wild Brine. They make good sauerkraut. GT's for kombucha. That was my very first kombucha experience. I remember that. It was so fun. Or Maple Hill for 100% grass-fed kefir. I adore kefir. Adore it. The bottom line is whether you buy it or make it, the goal is the same. Getting those friendly workers back into your table and onto your table and into your gut. Now I have a tip. If someone ever asks me which one is better, the homemade, the store-bought, well, homemade is often more diverse because it uses the wild microbes from your own environment. But a high-quality store-bought versions are a wonderful, convenient way to ensure you're getting your forkful, and I go at least a forkful a day of your fermented food. Another key point that is that a little goes a long way. You don't need a huge serving. I want you to think of fermented food works best as a condiment. Think of it as a condiment, not the main event. Just a tablespoon of real sauerkraut or a small glass of kefir each day can begin to shift your internal ecosystem. And if you're new to these flavors, start simple. A high-quality yogurt or mild kombucha is a great place to begin. As your taste buds adjust, and it is really different, you can explore stronger flavors like kimchi or miso. Very funny, one of my classes, I had all these fermented foods out for everyone to try. And I had one particular lady that was there, and she was very particular about what she ate, and she had very sensitive taste buds. She went around and tried each one. She said to me, well, I did it. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but I tried them all, Sheri, and they are very different. I tried to encourage her. You have to train your taste buds to really like this, and it will over time. One taste is not enough. You have to do it again and again and again. So as I wrap up, here's a big idea I'd love you to take with you. And then we're going to have a Q&A time because I want to open it up. You're not just an individual. You're an entire ecosystem. Trillions of microbes call your body home, and they're working for you every single day. They're all over your body on the outside, and they're all over your body on the inside, starting with the mouth all the way down. When we bring fermented foods back to the table, we're doing more than adding flavor, and they are very flavorful. We're tending to that inner garden. We're reconnecting with traditions that supported human health for thousands of years. So here's a simple challenge for you this week. Try adding just one living food to your table. Your gut your brain, and your immune system will all benefit from it. So, all right, Ms. Ruth Ellen, do we have any questions?
I didn't realize I was muted. I'm sorry. Yes, we
Like
do.
Marilyn has a question for us. That's
Yes,
great.
Caroline, go for it.
I would love for you to tell us the value of raw kefir versus raw milk, if you know the difference.
I was hoping somebody would ask raw kefir, I mean, having just, you call it kefir, I call it kefir. Everybody has this different pronunciation for it. So you're talking about using raw milk or regular milk for pasteurized milk, or is that what you're discussing? Your question, I would
Sure,
love to
or
tell
the
you about that.
comparison of the two specifically, even if you just went raw milk versus raw kefir, or you
Okay.
can do what you said. That's fine too. Both
Yeah.
things need to be addressed. I think people aren't aware of it.
I totally agree. And when I make kefir, and the reason I make it is because I want to make it with raw milk, because raw milk is a living food. And I have used all the milks. I've used the pasteurized, the ultra pasteurized. I've even used goat milk, but I always come back to the raw. And there's a reason for that. Raw milk is raw dairy is a complete package. It comes with its own built-in digestive tools. It contains enzymes and lactase, which helps break down milk sugar, and lipase, which helps digest fat. Now, pasteurization uses heat to kill bacteria, but it also denatures these sensitive enzymes. When you use raw milk for kefir or yogurt, you are keeping those digestive aids intact, making the final product much easier on the stomach. Raw milk is a living food.
Yeah, and
By
the
itself
last,
is great, but when you ferment it, you even increase its nutritional value.
just the last 2 weeks, I went and I drank only raw milk, only raw kefir, only raw cheese, and I even got some raw cream. And my energy levels have soared through the roof in 2 weeks.
I know.
So I recommend all the audience, everybody to try it. All the enzymes are there, all the nutrients, stuff. I found out, I did a little bit of research of my own. I found out some extracellular vesicles that actually promote your messenger RNA that involved with your immune system. And they said that 60 to 90% is killed through pasteurization and homogenation.
Right. And homogenation makes the molecules, when you homogenize milk, it makes the molecules even larger, and your body just can't use them. So we think we're protecting, but we're not. We're hurting. We're creating a very beautiful food into a dead food, in my opinion. It's just
So
not as live.
so the pasteurization, am I right? It kills 3 of the necessary enzymes in milk, and one of them is lactase. So that's why everybody's lactose intolerant, right?
That's correct. That is
So
absolutely correct.
Why were local people that produce raw milk, why are they so attacked? That's what I don't get.
Well, unfortunately, we have laws that has changed the way we do things. And laws came about probably needed at the time, but no longer are needed, and they haven't been changed. So I can't go to a store and buy raw milk. I have to go to a farm and pick it up. There are some states you can't even go to a farm and pick it up. They can't even sell it to individuals for human consumption.
Well,
I think
have
that's
a
just sad.
local health food store near me called Sprouts, and I never see the raw milk. They have raw kefir, but not raw milk. But I did now go to another market called Fraser Farms, and they offer even the raw cream.
That's wonderful. I love that.
Fantastic.
I love that. When I was visiting my daughter in Florida, I went to a store that sells raw milk, and they had to put on the label "not for human consumption." They could sell it, but it had to say on that label for the milk, the raw milk, "not for human consumption."
But I wanted to tell everybody, I'm feeling fantastic. Energy that I haven't had in years, in just 2 weeks. And I know you could say it's anecdotal, but it's the only thing different that I've done.
Right. I know I had the same experience. When I started drinking the kefir I made with raw milk, I had this really good feeling. I mean, just I felt good and then I found out that that's what kefir means. It means good feeling or feeling good.
Really?
That's what the
I didn't
word
know
means.
that.
It's
Wow.
wonderful. Thank you for asking that,
Okay,
Marilyn.
thank you.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you, Marilyn. All right, we have a question, a comment from Tori on, there we go. Tori P 3378. Hello, thank you for watching out there in YouTube land. Tori says, I use wild brine for kimchi.
Very good. And so you are making a fermented food. I was going to ask, are there some favorite fermented foods out there that people are doing or making or eating?
Yeah, put
Or
it
if
in.
you have a favorite, let us know.
Yes, put it in the chat, everyone. And if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat and we will ask. Yes. All right. So I do have a couple questions that came in. One of them is, how do I know the ferment is safe and not just rotten?
This takes me back when I first started fermenting. I was petrified. I mean, literally. I was so afraid to try anything, tasting thing. I was so afraid. I mean, I was just so worried about it. I didn't want to get any horrible illness from it. And I found out that I have never had any ferment yet not turn out. Never. I've never had it go bad. I've never had it make me sick. And I've been eating it for years. So the answer is this. Fermentation is controlled by salt, temperature, or a specific starter if you decide to use it. So trust your nose. The nose knows. If it smells foul or putrid, like garbage, throw it out. If it smells bright, sour, or tangy, that's a great sign that it's working perfectly. And I have always had them all turn out good. It took a while to build up my confidence about it, but now I never think twice about it. It's fantastic. Any more questions?
So ZZ Captain out there in YouTube land, hello. He says, hello, Sheri and Ruth Ellen. Hi.
Hi there.
And ZZ Captain says, I don't drink the milk anymore, only heavy cream till I can find a farmer or farmer's cow. LOL.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm lucky that I live in Texas near farms. And I have this woman, she's in her 80s, and she still milks cows, brings them and delivers them at a certain location where we all go to get it from her. So we don't have to go out to the farm to get it. And you look at her and you think, there is no way that woman is that old. But she is. And she is fabulous. I usually buy 3 gallons at a time. I make 3 gallons of kefir at a time. That's how much I drink.
I love that. I know you sent some kefir grains to Miss Becca Dukes. And when she comes back, we are going to find the farm and start utilizing those beautiful grains that you sent us. We can't wait.
Very good. Very good. Excellent.
All right. And Nancy has her hand up. Nancy, would you like to
Nancy Cook?
Okay. So I also put this in the chat, so disregard the chat. So my husband, when I went to go buy raw milk a couple of years ago, I came in late, but I had heard that the reason people are lactose intolerant is the molecule structure changes.
Yeah.
But it had in big bold letters, not fit for human consumption. Where would I find? And so it scared me. So I pretty much don't drink a lot of milk. I drink almond milk and coconut milk and all that. But I would like to drink regular milk. But how would I? Is there I don't know if you already said it. Is there a peer review, or like I got like on John Hopkins, I get a lot of my information from there to validate Dr. Wallach studies or Dr. Wallach stuff. Do you know where I can get accurate data or data with credentials to overcome the argument in my home?
Well, then I just get out there and search. Go to PubMed and check there, all over the place. I am a walking example of what it's like. So I don't need those studies to convince me because I've been living it for years. But I understand what you're saying, Nancy. I totally get you. And you're in Florida. So some stores will sell raw milk, but it'll have to say not fit for you or not for human consumption. If you want raw
We've
milk,
got
then
some
eat it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, just the research is out there. I know it's out there. So, but there's also a lot of misinformation is out there. A lot of fear mongering is out there. I don't know why people hang on to it like they do, but they do. The Amish don't pasteurize their milk. They do everything raw and they're doing great. I think we have to get over our fear. I had to. And once I started eating and drinking fermented foods, that fear is totally gone now. I fear more the fresh stuff that keeps being pulled back or recalled by grocery stores because of E. coli. I fear that more than I do fermented food, quite frankly.
Yeah,
Did
I'm
that
getting to
answer
the
your
point where I
question,
don't want
Nancy?
anything processed anymore. Even all the organic, if it's in a bright colored carton, I'm leery.
But don't be afraid to buy that milk. They just by law have to put it on there. That's the only way they can get around selling it in a grocery store. Don't worry about that sign. I bought 3 bottles of that when I was at my daughter's, brought it back in a cooler, and I used it to make kefir. And I'm still here doing just great.
So is there a litmus paper that you could put in there, maybe? A litmus test?
No, not that I know of. No.
Okay.
You know,
Right,
milk has its own way of, milk has its own guardians in there that takes care of it. There was, let's see, the enzymes help it. What's another? Raw milk has, it has its own crew that keeps their milk safe. It's only going to be unsafe if it's not handled properly. But modern day farming is just not like that. People are really careful. It's not like it used to be when that law came on the books. It's not at all like that anymore. So don't fear it. Enjoy it. God gave it to us.
Yes. Yes, I agree. It looks like Marilyn has a question.
All right, Miss Marilyn.
More questions?
Yeah, what do you think, Sheri? I recently too, when I went to the Fraser Farms, I found dulce. It's a raw seaweed, and I was always taking nori, and that's roasted and dried, and then I recently got some dulce, but they said I have to keep rinsing it. Now I have it tastes again nothing like nori, like you. It's kind of weird taste. You kind of have to combine it with food.
But here's what I do with dulse seaweed. Here's what I do with dulse seaweed. Or any of those large pieces of seaweed that you can get.
Yes.
I stick that in my soups and stews.
Oh,
I just put it there and I let it cook away and just extract all of that good iodine and all that other good stuff out of it. And then I discard it. I don't eat it itself. I just put it in there to let it do its thing while the food is cooking.
Oh, I've been eating it. I just
You can. There's certainly nothing wrong with it. Absolutely.
Can I ask you, how long will it keep? Like once you rinse it and you put it in the refrigerator, if it's in a tight sealed container, how long can you keep seaweed? Raw seaweed.
You're probably gonna have to open it up and smell it. If it's damp at all, it's gonna start to degrade. If it's that's why they usually market dried seaweed because it will last longer, and it's still good stuff too. It probably not a long time if it's still damp.
And have you worked a lot with mushrooms? They're selling a lot of gummy mushrooms, like
I have not worked a lot with mushrooms. I didn't like mushrooms for years. My husband finally convinced me to try them, and now I do like them, and I eat them, but I don't do a lot with them.
Okay. They sell, they're really expensive to buy, like mushroom gummies, like might have lion's mane and maybe 2 ingredients like B12 and folic acid, but they want like $30 for a small amount. Anyway, like you might have some. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have a good product for that, and that's Ocean's Gold. That's a good.
Oh, yes.
No, that's seaweed. That's not mushroom. I'm trying to think of something else.
Well, it is.
We do have products with mushrooms in it that are great.
Mushroom coffee and killer biotic and a few other things.
There you go. So we've got it.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you, Marilyn. Appreciate it.
All right. Let's see. Just checking real quick. Okay, so another question that we had is somebody says, I tried fermented food, and my stomach felt a bit bubbly / bloated. Am I allergic?
Great question. No, you're not. This is often what we call the Herxheimer reaction, and it's just a die-off. So when you introduce good guys to the gut that isn't used to them, there can be a little temporary civil war going on in there. And the bad bacteria are being pushed out by the good guys. My suggestion is just to start really slow. Every day, take a little bit, maybe a small spoon a day, and just go slow. And before you know it, you'll have the good guys really have pushed all the bad guys out. Your gut will be much stronger.
Very good. Yes, I have noticed that sometimes when I start taking like the nightly essence, probiotics, and different things, that sometimes there's an interesting thing that happens with the body, and especially I-26. Like that if you have bad bacteria in your intestines, that and sauerkraut are great.
They sure are. Those
Yeah.
I-26 are going after those pathogens, and I-26 are going after those bad things.
Very good. All right. So we had another question about does freezing kill the bacteria in fermented foods?
And that's a really good question. And actually, no, it doesn't kill it. Not usually. I mean, I guess there could have some times when that does happen, but I haven't ever had that happen. Usually when you take it out and you thaw the food, the bacteria will just, your bacteria just start doing their job again. It slows it down really a lot in the refrigerator. The reason we take fermented food that we're fermenting on the counter and we move it to the fridge is to slow down the process of fermentation. We want to slow it down. We don't want it to keep going, or it just keeps going, and to the point where we can't drink it fast enough or eat it fast enough before it becomes probably not too palatable. So if you put it in the freezer and you take it out, it's just slowed that process down a lot. And then when you thaw it, it just starts back again. Usually does.
Very good. All right, it looks like. Okay, so ZZ Captain on YouTube is asking, you might ask Sheri, what's her take on aged cheese? I only eat at least 1 year aged cheese, and if I find it helpful to my regular eating schedule.
I love the aged cheese. That's fermented cheese. That's why it's aged. It is fermented. And when it's fermented like that, your body can accept it better. It can use it better. It can break it down better. Those little microbes have done their work, and now you get to enjoy all their work. I love aged cheese.
Can you name a few cheeses that are aged for us?
There would be some cheddars are aged, and there is, what are the other one? The other one is, what I had some written down here, so I wouldn't forget them. I know cheddar being one. I wonder what he eats. What type of cheese does he eat?
You said aged cheese. You didn't with cheddar or or okay. So then the Tori P338 3378 on YouTube. Hello, Tori. Thoughts on using a good probiotic like Longevity Nightly Essence or the new probiotic from the Longevity Hope Bundle as a starter. So what are your thoughts on those?
Okay, that's another really good question, because I have opened up those capsules of the probiotics and used them as a starter with when I'm making a fermented food. And you can do that. Those capsules, though, were designed to open up in the warm area of your gut instead of a cold area of a fermenting dish. So if you put them in something cold, they may not work as well. Not saying they won't, they could, but they were really designed to open up in that warm environment in your gut. So you can buy starters that have been made for fermented food, and they work really well in the cold environment they're going to be put in when you're fermenting. That's the only big difference.
Perfect. Thank you. And then let's see, there was another one. Oh, Tori Keith, thank you for this information. I couldn't remember the name of the product. Says that Ultimate Microbiome has a mushroom blend in it,
That's right.
has several
right.
other mushrooms in there, and that is really good.
Yeah.
And then, anyway, okay, so Marilyn looks like she has another question.
This is wonderful, Marilyn. I bet you'd be a great fermenter.
Well, I've just been so excited about this concept. It seems like God or something the last couple months bombarding me with the word raw. I don't know why, it just keeps coming to me.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was looking for raw cheese, and I only saw and they have multiple brands, so many hundreds of brands of cheese, and I only found cheddar, Monterey Jack, and goat that are raw.
Okay.
So there's no
Okay.
Parmesan, there's no blue cheese, there's no feta cheese that's raw. Do you know why? And if we can change that, because I could only find those three. Only
That's just
those.
what the store is selling, because you can find those raw in some areas.
You
But that's
really?
just what that store is selling. And maybe it was just because, I don't know. When I buy raw cheese, I know I have to use it pretty quickly though, because once you grate it, it can start
Yes.
to grow green mold on it. So
Well, I freeze
I
mine.
keep mine. I do too. That's what I was going to say. I freeze it and then I grate what I'm going to use, but I've got to use that grated cheese up. I can't just let it sit there. You know, you can buy those bags of grated cheese and leave them in your fridge and not even, and you go back and they're still there and they still look okay.
Yeah,
Tell
what
me
do they
that
have
food's
in
not
there?
alive.
What are they
Yeah,
preserving?
it's what I'd like to know. What's causing it to last like that? It shouldn't be. But if you grate the really raw cheese and you don't use it right away, about a week later, you're going to see a mold start to grow on it. So then I throw that out. That's a green mold. It's not a healthy mold.
I
But
looked at
it's
all the labels
life.
and almost all the other cheese it was pasteurized or skimmed
Yes.
and not the fat milk.
Yes.
What I would
Yes.
like to know is if you can find some raw, especially Parmesan, let me know.
I don't know.
Because I am
But
not found.
yeah. Probably ask your store people when you go to these health food stores or something. Just say, do you have access to get raw Parmesan? Do you have it? See if they do.
Yeah, because I've heard those three, Parmesan, the blue cheese, and the feta, if we can get them raw, I've heard that it protects the cell wall, which is your first line of defense against immunity.
Yeah.
Germs.
I love raw food. Yeah. Thank you,
let me
Marilyn.
know. I'd
Appreciate
love to
it.
know.
I will.
Thank you, Marilyn. All right. Let's see.
Nancy's back.
Huh?
Nancy. You see
Nancy.
Nancy? She's come back. Hi, Miss Nancy.
All right. Let me ask her to unmute. There you
There
go.
we go.
Okay. My understanding on the Parmesan cheese is it is grown only, it is real Parmesan cheese is in one place somewhere in Italy, and that they have a lot of codes and laws surrounding the Parmesan cheese. Now you have cheese that they claim is treated like Parmesan, but it's like a Valdea onion. You can only get a Valdea onion that is grown in Valdea, Georgia. You get other sweet onions and they may throw a name on them, but genuine Parmesan cheese has to come from that place in Italy, and the wheels are well over $100,000 for a wheel. And they put them under lock and key because people were rolling them out and put them on trucks and stealing them. But it's a highly regulated cheese, Parmesan is.
Thank you, Nancy. That helps us learn. I appreciate you telling us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
I don't know if it's healthy or not, but it sure is good.
Well, you're sharing it with us, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. And Hattie, would you like to unmute?
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, I absolutely love raw milk. I don't know where to get it at where I'm living at now, but I'm definitely going to research it again. But I wanted to know if I believe you talked about, you had a recipe where you make your own kefir. I would love to hear it again.
Right.
Lastly, since you were talking about starters, I need a starter so I can start making my own gluten-free bread. There's always wheat starters, but you know, I don't want to do that. So just wanted to know, since we're talking about starters.
Well, I appreciate you asking that, Hattie. There are people who are working on formulating gluten-free bread using yeast to make more of a sourdough type. I haven't really worked on that. Years ago, I used to make, before I found longevity, and Dr. Wallach used to make sourdough bread, and I loved it, but I don't do that anymore. So there are people who are doing that. And as far as, what's your other question, Hattie?
Oh,
The recipe for making kefir, it's very simple. You do need kefir grains, and they look, I wish I had some in here, they're in the kitchen. They look like little pieces of cauliflower. That's what they look like. They're white, and you just use a tablespoon of kefir grains with a cup of milk. That's all you do. Put them together in a jar, lay the lid on top, let it sit 24 hours, and you have your kefir. It is the simplest dish to make there is.
very good. Thank you very much. I used to make sourdough. I had sourdough starter. I'm trying to remember where I put the recipe that I got, but you can use a King Arthur gluten-free bread flour as long as it has sorghum in it. And I believe that it was a third of a cup to 2/3 cup water. And then you can let it ferment on the counter, but you have to feed it every single day and stir it
Yes.
every single day. And I will look for that recipe and get that too. I'll post it.
That was one of the reasons why I kind of quit making sourdough bread, because it's so time consuming.
Yes, and then you went a
And other
lot.
things I wanted to make.
And I made sourdough pancakes. Now those were the bomb. That
they
was
are.
good. It was really good. So I'll look for that, Hattie, and I'll post it in the comments on YouTube when I find it.
Okay.
All right. I thought I saw another hand up.
Keely had her hand up, but I don't know where she went.
Is she still here? She is still here.
No.
Keely, did you want to come on and unmute?
Yeah, I'm here. I was
Okay.
moving around. Sorry.
Cheers.
For the one of the last questions that was asked in reference to the raw cheese, you can find the raw cheese at a lot of your specialty stores. And there is a raw farm brand, and you can get it in multiple different varieties. We find it here at Sprouts, and at Time Market. We also find it at some of our farmers markets, and they'll have the raw Gouda and cheddar cheese. So it is out there and it is available, all unpasteurized, just so you know. But one of the
Thank you.
main brands is Raw Farm USA, and they do your raw jack cheeses.
Good.
And then you
Thank you.
have your imported brands as well. The other one, I think it's Organic Valley, and they do the
Okay.
sharper tasting stuff.
Okay.
So just to update you on that. The other thing is that, you do a lot of fermentation. How much canning do you do in reference to that? Or do you just all keep it raw? I mean,
I do canning because I love bone broth. And so I can all the time. Well, not all the time. When I get an accumulation of bones, whatever it may be, chicken, beef, or whatever, then I make the bone broth and then I can it. So I do that. I don't can vegetables much anymore because I have quite a few in my pantry. And I really do love the fermented food. If I have, let's say, Keely, I have a protein and maybe I don't have a vegetable to go with it, I will actually pull out a couple spears and I'll show it what it looks like. A couple spears of, this is okra, a couple of spears of okra and eat that as my veggie. Then I'm getting a little bit of everything. I eat a lot of fermented foods, so I can eat a couple of those and it's just wonderful. It's my vegetables and it's my fermented food. So do a little canning, but it's mostly just broth now.
so what would you say to parents that have younger children that really, they don't like their veggies? How do you get those fermented foods into their, menu?
Yeah, yeah. I'd probably start with the kefir and I'd just make it, add something to it to make it taste a little better. I'd probably start there, or kombucha. Kombucha. When my grandchildren would come visit, that was their first word, bucha. Bucha, Mimi, bucha. That's what they would say when they came in the door. So that's another one to get started on. It's an easy one. Just try to not drink kombucha with your meals because it is a carbonated beverage. It's naturally carbonated, but it can neutralize your stomach acid. So I always would drink it away from meals, maybe an afternoon pickup around 3-ish or so, and have a cup of kombucha. I would do that. I would try to get them and start young. If you can get them to have just a little bit of fermented food, it's surprising how much children will enjoy it more than adults will. So just give them a tiny bit on their plate and say, just try that, see what you think. Maybe a little bit of sauerkraut or whatever, and just see what they think. And then get the fermented pickles rather than the canned pickles. Most kids love pickles. I'd put them on that.
So what would be the youngest age that you would introduce them to? As soon as they
young as
start to
possible.
be as young as possible.
Yeah, as young as possible. I would start them because we are training our children's taste buds when they're young. And so if you get them started right away, especially when they're, just experiencing food other than mom's milk, it helps train those taste buds. And then you want them to want the really good stuff. And if a mother will really eat healthy when she's pregnant and eat fermented foods when she's pregnant, studies have shown, I don't have them in front of me, but studies have shown those children are going to want that when they're born because that's what the mother ate when she was pregnant. It's amazing.
And I do have a testimony to fermented foods because my husband's Polish and Slovenian, and I'm telling you what, he has got an iron gut, virtually is never sick. And as soon as he reverts right back to a fermented food and it leaves in a very short period of time.
Yep. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And the brine from your fermented food, once you've eaten all the food out of that jar, do not throw away that brine. That brine is gold. You just drink that. I mean, don't drink it out of the bottle, but pour it in a little cup and drink it every single day. It will help give you stronger stomach acid. It helps get rid of the bad pathogens. It's gold.
And we've been throwing it away.
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Okay, thanks, Sheri.
A friend got a bunch of chickens from someplace. I don't remember. She deboned them and she freeze dried them. And I said, well, what'd you do with the bones? Oh, I threw them away. And I said, what? You should have got stuff. What a me bone broth out of it. Don't you dare throw them away. No, drink that brine. Everything in that jar, you drink.
Everything, huh?
Everything you eat and drink.
Okay, well, no more throwing that away.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Keith.
welcome, dear. Thank you for asking.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's funny because my husband's Korean and he was raised, the first 3 years of his life, he lived in Korea and they fed him kimchi.
Yeah.
From a very, 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 very small child. And he would cry and freak out and it burned his mouth and they would water it down in the soup broth.
There you go.
And give it to him. He has a cast iron stomach.
Yeah.
He can eat anything. And
that's real strong. That kimchi is very strong.
Yeah, very rarely gets sick. And his mom used to make kimchi. And we would get big jars, big jars of kimchi. And we'd go through it and be in the refrigerator, and then he'd give her the jar back. And
they don't want more.
Yeah. And then after she passed away, we had a couple jars of her kimchi, and so we ate on that for a while. And then he'd have to sometimes rinse it and start the process over because it would get a little foamy kind of textured.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, be careful. I see Albert has a question.
Yes, he does. But first, I want to say one thing because I thought it was really sweet from Bruce. Bruce, you're awesome. He says, Sheri is a good piece of the puzzle to Becca's team. Great team.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
That's sweet.
Very sweet. All right. Albert.
That.
Please.
Hi, Sheri.
Hi, Albert.
Just going back to the milk. As a young lad, I grew up on farm milk. The milk we got for years and years and years was still warm. And boy, I dived into it. And we would get thick layers of cream. And you would actually just take this, let it dry a little bit, and you would take the whole skin off the cream, and you could just eat it like it. It was magnificent.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I've had a lot of raw milk.
I'm glad to
And,
hear that. My
I
father
miss
did
it.
too. He was raised on a farm and they always had raw milk. He never had pasteurized milk until he became an adult and was in the military. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that, Albert. They do it right.
Right. And then on the fermented foods, I've become, well, I'm enjoying the cabbage and garlic. But I don't know what I've done is a few times I've tried to make carrots and I've just destroyed it and I fed the monkeys and the baboons outside. So, so what would I have done wrong doing trying to ferment the carrots that made them go off? And I followed
Maybe
the
not
same
enough
processes
salt.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not enough salt. Now, carrots have a more sugary base than cabbage does and then garlic does. Your carrots are going to have more sugar inside, glucose inside. So you probably need extra salt and make
Okay.
it really, really salty. Try it
Okay.
again.
All right. I'm
And
going to
did
try
you cut
carrots
your
again then.
cabbage? Did you cut your carrots or did you shred them? How did you do it?
Now I cut them in long strips and I've put them in a bottle. So the idea was that I would just be able to take them and nibble on them like that.
Okay. Try to cut
So
them
cut
in
them
like
in.
copper pennies instead of long strips. Try to cut them
Yes.
into copper pennies. See if that works better. I
Okay.
haven't tried the strips like that. It may work. I'm not sure, but I always make mine into either I shred it or I put it into like penny size, coin size. Where you just chop
Okay.
the carrot like that. Yeah.
And how long do you leave it?
On the counter, usually about 4 days, 5 days at
Okay.
max.
So the same
And
as the
what
cabbage.
I do is I take the lid off and I take a carrot out and I taste it. I say, do I like this? Is it what I want it to taste like? If I say no, it needs a little bit more time, I'll put the lid back on, I'll let it ferment some more. And then I'll check it again. And if it has the crunch I want, which I want it to keep having, I want it to have crunch and it has the flavor pretty close
Okay.
to what I want, then it goes in the fridge.
Okay. I'll try that.
All right. Let me know how it turns out, Albert. I'd love to hear.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, I will do, Sheri.
Thank you, Albert.
Yes.
And Keely has her hand up. I did have one more question
Okay.
that came in. Let me bring myself back up by her, and then we'll go to Keely.
Okay.
Where is my question? I thought I marked it. Oh. Why do you prefer raw dairy? And oh, you know what? You answered this question.
I did.
Okay. So do I need to buy those expensive airlock lids I see online?
Good question. Because they're nice. You don't need them. They're nice. The main thing is just to keep the fermented food below the fluid, the liquid. That's all you're really after. I don't buy them. I haven't used them. I take a jar, as you see, with a white lid, and when it's fermenting, that jar is just sitting on top like that. That's all it is. I don't even tighten the jar so that the gases can escape.
Mhm.
But I will go every day and push things below the water line if I see that it's sticking up. These aren't. They're packed in there real tightly so they aren't sticking up. And I just leave it like that. You don't have to spend a lot of fancy money on fancy stuff. It just isn't necessary.
And once it goes in the refrigerator, you tighten the lid down.
Yep. Tighten the lid down and stick it in the fridge.
Very good. All right, Keely, I know you had your hand up. Would you like to unmute, please? Unless she answered your question.
2 questions. One is, do you do any of your growing and harvesting yourself?
I do. These okra are from my garden. Oh, how about that?
Okay, well, I'm
And
curious. So what else do you grow?
well, this year not much, but last year I had carrots, okra. I had beets. I had so many beets I didn't know what to do with them. I had what's the other? Some onions, The small green onions, grew those. And chard, kale, but those are not for fermenting because they do not do well at all. That's just strictly for salads. And I think that was kind of it. There might have been more. Can't remember.
Wow, very good. And then could you speak to doing garlic, what you do with the garlic in order to keep it? Because, there's people don't understand that if they put garlic in the refrigerator and it happens to raw, it can actually become toxic.
Yeah.
Could you
Ferment your
explain
garlic.
that? Yeah, could you
just
explain all
ferment
that,
your
please?
garlic. Yeah. You just make a salt brine and put the garlic in it. I have a recipe, but it's not right here in front of me. And I eat the garlic plain or I cook with it. You can do everything with it, just like you would if it were just raw garlic in your fridge. But this is fermented, so it's going to last a long time. One of my favorite books for fermenting, Donna Schwenk is the one. Cultured Food Life is her name of her site, Cultured Food Life with Donna Schwenk. These are some of my absolute favorite books for learning. I learned to ferment with her. Not personally, but I'd go on her site and I would read stuff or I'd watch her videos. Cultured Food Life, go there. She's still around. I checked out this morning. I haven't gone to her site in a long time, but really, really like her. She is one woman who really understands fermentation and she's fun to learn from. But garlic, yeah, ferment it. It's so easy. You just make the brine, throw the garlic in, sit it on the counter a few days, and then stick it in the fridge. Perfect.
So if you were going to make a recommendation for somebody to start fermenting, what would be the top 5 things you would tell them to start with?
I would have them start with kefir because it's so easy. Kefir grains and oat milk, that's it. Very, very simple. Then I'd probably have them, the next one I'd probably have them do is like the garlic because you're just making a salt brine and throwing garlic cloves in there. It's very, very simple to do. I'd probably kombucha is more time consuming. It really does take someone to kind of walk you through it, although you can watch videos online and do your own thing. And this one is an easy one. Making sauerkraut's quite easy. I demonstrated that one time. It just takes a little bit of time, that's all. Things easy like that. Start slow, start simple.
So if you were going to, people who are working and they're into convenience, what would be like 5 top bases that they would need to have that were fermented in order to, shorten the making a meal cycle at home?
I would probably buy fermented food at the store because there are some good quality fermented foods that you can buy right in the store. Because all of this does take time. So if you have a heavy schedule, you're busy, you just don't have time, buy it at the store. Just make sure you read the label, make sure it's raw, make sure it's live cultures, make sure it's in the refrigerated section, and turn it over, make sure nothing's been added on the back. No sugar added. You can get kefir at the store, but they have all that sugar added. Get the plain. That's perfect. I just buy it personally. And when I travel, I do. I like to get kefir when I'm visiting my daughter, and I love the Maple Hill. So there's a store there near her that sells the Maple Hill kefir, and I always just go get me a couple of bottles of it, and I have that while I'm there, so I don't have to do without it. That's what I do.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Keely. Thanks for asking.
All right. So Shirley on Daily with Doc and Becca YouTube channel says she was raised on a hobby farm, fresh eggs and milk and veggies and fruit trees. And then I'm assuming she's responding to when you start a child on fermented food. And she said, soon as they have teeth. And good afternoon from Vancouver, British Columbia. Hello, Shirley. And also Susie Van Burskick.
My dear friend Susie. I just love that girl.
Yes. So she said, hi, nice to hear you, Sheri.
Oh, she's such a sweetheart.
Yes. And AJ sent in a question. Let me get back to that. Regarding kombucha, is there alcohol in it or alcohol? What is that? Or alcohol in it that a person should be concerned about? He drinks it. And also,
no. No, as a matter of fact, my son and I, we have this debate going. I said, listen, there's more alcohol in orange juice than there is in kombucha. He didn't believe me, so he did his own research and he came back and he said, all right, Mom, you're right. What kombucha will turn into if you leave it sitting too long in the fridge is vinegar. Vinegar. But it's a nice vinegar you can put on your salads. In fact, him asking that brings up something I would like to share real quick, and that's a guide to how long foods do keep that have been fermented. And for vegetable ferments, they'll keep 6 to 12 months in your refrigerator, maybe even longer. You'd want to open the jar and see how it is, maybe even longer. So they don't necessarily go bad on a specific date, but they will continue to ferment very slowly in the fridge. And over time, they may become just too soft or too tangy. But they don't become bad. They just may not be as palatable. Dairy or yogurt and kefir, about 2 to 4 weeks, because dairy is more delicate and it has a shorter shelf life than vegetables. You'll know it's past its prime if you see visible mold on the surface, and that visible mold will be visible, true mold. You'll know it's fuzzy stuff. You'll know. It may smell, changes the smell, may be different. It might not be that nice tart smell anymore. Instead, it smells like some spoiled milk. I tell you, I don't keep it long enough in my fridge for that to happen. So I can't say I've ever had it go bad. Now for miso or soy sauce or hot sauce, you can keep them 1 to 2 years or longer in your refrigerator. Miso paste and traditionally brewed soy sauce are incredibly stable because of their high salt content and long fermentation history. They can sit in the back of the fridge almost indefinitely and still be good. Kombucha, about 1 to 3 months. And then it gets a little bit too vinegary. And then that flavor isn't pleasant to drink, but it's great on a salad. So there you go. Anything else? I know we're at the top of the hour.
Yes, we are. I think that was it. I think you just answered the question I did have a question. I remember.
What is it? Okay.
When you're making kombucha, you need something to start it. What is it called? The mother or something like that?
Called the SCOBY.
SCOBY.
And that stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. And it's a round, well, it depends on what shape you put it in. If you put it in a square container to grow it, it's going to be square when it comes out because it takes the shape of whatever it was grown in. It's a SCOBY. And it lasts, I just love it. I sent Becca that too, a SCOBY to start her kombucha. But it acts as kind of like the warehouse that's helping the tea brew because you're using sweetened tea. And that SCOBY just helps it kind of brew down below it. It seals it around the corner. My SCOBY, I have a scalloped edge container, and the SCOBY is scalloped edge because it's sealing around to keep the oxygen out. So yeah, SCOBY, symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast.
Very good. And there's alcohol in orange juice.
There is. Fruit, well, when you ferment fruit, it will turn into alcohol very quickly.
Gotcha.
And I honestly don't ferment fruit. I like the vegetables more. I like fruit fresh, and I like vegetables fermented.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just like what you bought fresh. I'm like, what? I do know that it turns into alcohol because otherwise
it takes time. Yeah, it takes time for it to do that, but it can. It can.
All right. Yes. All right. I think that's all the questions that I had for right now. And I don't see any other hands up for questions regarding the show out there in the different platforms. Thank you so much, Sheri. I really enjoyed this, and thanks for teaching me how to ferment garlic. That was interesting, and it's still in my fridge. So
it makes me so happy when I see people do it. Yeah. So please just add one live food, just one, even if you have to buy it and can't make it, do that.
Yes, that would be great. Yeah. All right, I think there might be another question real quick. Oh, okay. All right, if I could get my co-host to join me on the screen, then we'll close out the show. Also, I want to also say that if anybody referred you to this program, please get back with them because they are going to be your point of contact and they will help you with any questions that you may have regarding any information here. And if they don't know, then please email us at questions@dailywithdoc.com. And also, this program is sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. Also, we do have a phone team available if you would like to talk to a certified holistic health coach, and you can call. That number is 855-949-3377. And again, this was for educational purposes only and not meant to treat, diagnose, or cure any diseases. All right, so on the screen, we have, it looks like AJ has, and we buy kombucha from Sheri. I knew there was a question that disappeared on me from the chat. Asking for a friend.
I've been asked that so many times when people would come to my classes, can I just buy your kombucha? I said, I'm sorry, no. It's not cost effective to sell.
Okay. Very good.
I can't make it on a grand scale like the commercial people do.
Yes, I understand that. But she could teach you how to do it, AJ. And
I'll teach you how. I'll even send you a SCOBY.
Oh, see that? She'll send you a SCOBY. All right. So thank you, Sheri. A bunch of people are saying thank you from the different platforms. And ZZ Captain says, hello, Albert. And Olga, real quick, so it says, my Japanese friend just gave me selection of homemade miso for my birthday. That is a true gift.
Friend.
That's awesome. What a wonderful friend you have there.
Awesome.
All right. So, of course, we have Sheri, who was our guest speaker today, and she is amazing. And she also is part of the tech crew, and she helps set up the platforms and everything I send to her, she sends out to the other platforms. And so thank you for all that you do. I'm pulling double duty today. And then we have Phyllis, who is out there on the different platforms, posting and bringing in questions. And she is just an amazing part of our team. All of the team members are amazing, but I appreciate you doing that because when I'm hosting, then I know things are getting disclaimed. So thank you so much for that. And then we have Marilyn, who is Miss Speedy Fingers, who is in here typing almost as fast as we can talk. And she still finds time to look things up and post without skipping very much of a beat at all. So thank you so much. I find that amazing. And we have Albert, who is out in South Africa. So it is nighttime for him. And he is our gatekeeper and a true gentleman. And he lets people in. And then if something is going on that shouldn't be going on, he kicks them out. And he also brings questions into the chat and different things like that. So thank you for all that you do, Albert. And AJ does not have his camera on, but he is our digital marketing director. And he helps expand what we already had done, as he pointed out the Friday. So, and just, he does a lot of things. We can't even name everything that he does. So every member of this team is important. And Rebecca and I are very, very, very grateful for all of you. And also our listening audience out there and people that come online to join the show, either on Zoom or like in the chat. Thank you for everybody who posts in the chat and participates in the chats. I really, really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And I hope that you have a beautiful day. And tomorrow we have, oh my gosh, who do we have tomorrow? I want to tell you, I think it's somebody good. I know it is. Tomorrow we have Dr. Lisa Singletary, and she will be coming on and sharing some things with us. And I really look forward to that. And Friday, we have a very special surprise guest who I am not going to announce until tomorrow. But you guys are going to be, he was pivotal pivotal in helping docs sue the FDA. And a lot of the things that we can say right now, like essential fatty acids help prevent and cure heart disease, that they can help with heart disease, probably not cure, but he helped him say that, helped him get folic acid and selenium in baby formulas. So very, very grateful to this person. All right. So have a beautiful day, as I was saying. And please remember to always be kind, because we don't know what somebody else is going through. And I wish you all a magnificent day, and I will see you tomorrow. We'll all see you tomorrow. All right. Bye for now.
This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in pathology, naturopathic doctor. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to continue to share the teachings of a founding father of the science of epigenetics, Dr. Joel Wallach, Bachelor of Science in Plant and Soil Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, 4 postdoctorates in pathology, naturopathic doctor.